Chapter 81, Walpurgis Banquet 2 Part 6. Huh, a lowly slime wants to be a demon lord. I would never agree to that, Roy said with arrogance. I guess my mother wanted to test what Rimuro would do against a stronger demon lord. Or it could just be Roy being Roy. Feldora, who heard it, flew towards him, looking like a super saiyan. Ha ha ha. How dare you insult my friend? Oi, Milas, your underling is quite rude to his superior. Should I teach him a lesson for you? He said, looking at my mother. I could have stopped it, but I decided against it. What do you mean by that? I'm just a loyal maid to Demon Lord Valentine, my mother replied, still acting like a maid. Hey, you can't do that? Valentine's been hiding her true identity, Feldora. You shouldn't expose other people like that. Milim said, exposing her just like she did 2 times with me. Tisk, she clicked her tongue, you stupid lizard always ruining my work every single time. Also, did you even forget my real name? Feldora, who probably felt his scolding instincts flare up, hid behind me. Kale, help me. Your mother is scary. What do you mean my mother is an old and frail woman? That maid can't be my mother, I said, and I had a feeling that it wasn't the best thing to say in front of her. No, you both have a similar magicule wavelength, he said, still hiding behind me. My eyes twitched behind the mask, and I couldn't hold myself back, so I hit Feldora on the top of his head, sending him headfirst into the ground and cracking it. I don't know what you mean she isn't my mother, I said, but it was too late. Well, I think you got exposed, Kale, Guy said, putting his arm around my shoulder. How about we fix this place up? With a wave of his hand, Feldora was moved away, and the floor fixed itself before the table, and chairs appeared once again. Didn't Rimuru store? Ah, well, he has an expensive-looking table in his stomach now. Having been defeated by Leon, Kazalim's body seemed to have been destroyed. This is why in order to revive himself, he must start with his astral body. If that were the case, he would naturally want to possess other living beings. Kazalim, who has yet to be discovered to this day, must have hidden somewhere other than the domains of the demon lords. Rimuro said his theory before looking at me. Didn't you have any information on him, Kale? I assumed a thinking position now that I didn't have a mask. Your theory is possible, and from the things I found connected to Kazalim, it's something that he would do. From the information my shadows have found. I paused. How should I say things I know without it feeling like I know it from reading? They found old notes, including research and experiment results. It took me a while, but I found more bits and pieces over the years, but what I'm about to say could be wrong. They all looked at me, waiting for me to continue. I took a deep breath before speaking. Let's start centuries ago with the Super Magic Empire. There was a man named Jahail. As I said that, Guy, Milim, and Ramaris perked up. He wanted high humans to conquer the world and become its sole ruler. That's when he decided to do something that led to him being killed. I gave Guy a quick look before continuing. After being killed, his spirit came to wander the earth for eons before eventually finding a host in the king of the Elven Kingdom. He took over the body of the king and made what was known as the Super Magic Kingdom. It became a testing ground for his magic experiments, and one of his experiments was on the real king's daughter, Kagali. His experiments ended up killing Kagali, but he used the spell Birthday, a necromancy-type spell, to bring her back, but she was cursed. Her appearance became rotting, twisted, and ugly. But that's not all of it. She begged him to return to his peaceful and loving ways. Jahail lashed out in anger and used the power of his curse to force Kagali to become a man, changing her name to Kazalim and calling her his son. Considering all of that, the chances of her being alive are high. That's all I know, I said as I finished. There was a long silence before it was broken by my own mother. You could have just said that last sentence. I shrugged. But when would I get the chance to use the information I have gathered over the years? Then, if this Jahail managed to survive as a spirit for eons, she could have done the same for the past 300 years. Rimura summarized everything in one sentence. Tisk, none of them appreciate my knowledge, but I'm interested in what Rimura will do with all of the information when he sees Kagali in Yuaki's office. That's something I would see in the near future. But for now, it's time to get the whole banquet over. Our topic of discussion today is the betrayal of Carrion and the rise of the Rimura guy over there. And all these issues have been resolved. Carrion never betrayed us, and Rimura has shown power worthy of the role of Demon Lord. I think the meeting is done so far. But since it's a rather rare occasion, does anyone have anything to say? Guy said. Frey, who seemed to have been waiting for that, spoke up. From today onward, I've decided to follow Milim. Based on that, I would like to give out my seat as a Demon Lord. I am too weak to be a Demon Lord. After witnessing that battle just now, I was further convinced. But Frey, aren't you good at high-speed aerial combat? Is there really a need to look down on yourself like that? Dragule asked. Indeed, I'm more advantageous in aerial combat. But that's no excuse for not being a Demon Lord. So, that's why I decided to work under Milim. Carrion also decided to speak up. I, too, have lost to Milim during a duel. It's a different case when fighting against a hero, but now I've lost to another Demon Lord. This means I have no excuse to keep being a Demon Lord. That's why I'll now be Milim's subordinate. Chapter 82, Walpurgis Banquet 2 Part 7. So after Frey and Carrion stepping down and Milim's little outburst, we are finally here. I don't want to be that guy, but now our numbers decreased from 11 to 9. I said, hiding a smile as I heard the groans from the others, knowing what I meant. Ha, Guy sighed, I think we both are thinking the same thing, right Kale? He said, and we both looked at Rimuru, the newly risen demon lord. Today, I shall grant you the privilege to create a new title for us. Ah, no thanks. I don't need that. Rimuru tried to say, but Guy wouldn't take no for an answer, and with a simple chop, the table split in half. How about the 9 demonic sovereigns? Rimuru proposed the name after a while of thinking. Well, it's better than what I had in mind. I thought of something like Demon Kings of Arsgoisha or something involving that, but I guess 9 demonic sovereigns isn't that bad. It's not like I would care about it when I only hear about the name during Walpurgis. People are often too scared even to say our names out loud. I like it, I said. It's better than what Kale came up with last time, Milim said, and I sent her a glare. Didn't you say it was a good name? At that time, I thought it was good. That would be it, and it sounds very nice. We can definitely win with this name. A new age has arrived. The others also accepted the name, so it was time for the introductions again. You all make it sound like you didn't like the 11 Sagely Demon Lords was an awful name. I grumbled. I liked it. I didn't want to waste time on deciding a new name, so I went with it. After everything was decided, we ended up being named 9 demonic sovereigns. Demon, Lord of Darkness, Guy Crimson. Fairy, Fairy of the Labyrinth, Ramirus. Dragonoid, Destroyer, Milim Nava. True Gigant, Continent's Wrath, Dragruel. Vampire, Queen of Nightmares, Luminous Valentine. Fallen Angel, Sleeping Ruler, Dino. Monarch, Shadow Monarch, Ashbourne. Demonoid, Platinum Saber, Leon Cromwell. Slime, Ruler of Monsters, Rimuru Tempest. At least Rimuru didn't get the title of newbie or rising star because of me. It's not like I don't like the name, but Ruler of Monsters sounds much better. The last thing left is the food. Mom and Leon had already left, leaving only me, Guy, Milim, Ramirus, Rimuru, Dino, Dagroel, and everyone's attendance. While I'm waiting for the others to leave to discuss what I'm about to do with Guy, why not mess with Rimuru a bit? So Rimuru, to think the first thing you would do is to copy the recipes. Rimuru almost choked on the food he was eating. What? I'm not. He stopped as he already knew it wasn't worth it. Anyways, now that you've become a demon lord, what are you planning with the whole trying to create peace between humans and monsters? With the whole Clayman thing going on, I didn't have time to think about it yet. But maybe a festival to show them they don't need to fear the monsters. Oh, a festival like in that one manga. We must do it, Rimuru. Feldora said before turning to me, look, it would be like this one, and I can even have my own takoyaki stand. That sounds like an interesting idea, and I'm curious about how the takoyaki tastes. We continued to chat until Guy and I were the only demon lords left. So what was the destruction of the central world you mentioned? Guy asked. Let me tell you a story. It's not going to be like the Cagali story, right? I just looked at him offended before starting my story. Without any signs of Feldenava's resurrection even after centuries, he grew outraged upon detecting the sudden death of Veldenava after spending millennia in the other world. It became clear to him that Veldenava had abandoned not only them but the entire world. In response, he vowed to destroy creation itself and take revenge on all sentient life, not just humans and demi-humans. He hoped that if Veldenava truly cared, he would come back to stop him. So, Guy tried to say, but I stopped him. That was only the first part of the story. After Feldenava's death, a hollow ego resided in a skill and started questioning its purpose for living. Both individuals wanted to revive their master, so they allied with each other due to their common goals. The skill also received a name and became a Manas, developing a much firmer will. Over the next several centuries, the Manas gradually succeeded in wresting control of its host's body as the latter's soul wore out with each reincarnation. Care to take a guess about who I'm talking about? I asked after finishing my story. There was silence as Guy thought. Feldway and Rudra's skill Michael. He muttered. Right on point, I clapped. I want to end a war before it truly begins. Then why are you telling me all of this? You could have just done it without telling me about it. I want you to watch over Dino just in case. Feldway is the leader of the 7 Angels of Origin, so I can never know if he would follow his orders. Hey, Guy let out a deep sigh. Everything used to be much easier before I met you. Fine, I'm going to keep an eye on Dino, but before that, he pointed at Ultima and Testarossa. Care to explain what they are doing here? Well, Ultima and I have been dating for a while now, and Testarossa became a maid, I said. You expect me to believe that? Guy said with a straight face. Believe what you want. What I said was the truth, I shrugged. Anyways, the plan is. I then started telling him the basics of the plan. While I'm pretty certain I could do everything without his help, it's always better to have a contingency plan. Chapter 83, Birth of Amanas Part 1. Returning to my castle after my talk with Guy, I started prepping for what I like to call the war before the war. Notice. It's a stupid name. My eyes twitched. I didn't ask you, Athena. I said with a forced smile. Notice. That's just the truth. Athena. I muttered, still with a forced smile. Heh. Did you just hem me, Athena? Notice. No, master, it's just your imagination. That answer again, you're enjoying it, aren't you? Notice. No, master, it's just your imagination. Ha, I sighed and dropped the topic, knowing it wasn't worth it. To prepare for the attack, I must decide who to bring with me, who will delay Feldway, and who will handle the insectors. I have options like Igris and Barrow, with their divisions specializing in close-quarter combat, and Tusk, with his division specializing in magic and long-distance combat. They can handle the insectors while Mio, Ceres, Luca, and Ari stall Feldway until I'm finished with Michael. Once Michael is dealt with, then it's Feldway's turn. On second thought, I should also leave someone in the castle, just in case. Then there is also Ivorage. It was sealed inside the spooky palace by Veldanova after it caused mayhem in the central world. I also remember that while it's referred to as a dragon, it has no relationship to dragons or the dragon race. I continued finishing my attack plans for the next few days as I didn't want to rush it and make a mistake. While I'm confident in my current strength and that I could take them out, I need contingency plans in case something goes wrong. One is Guy, but he would be my last resort if everything else failed. I also need the ultimate skill, Lord of Hope, Surreal, for my plan to work. I know where to find it, so I will copy it before the war. I made different simulations of everything that could happen in my head, and Athena was also helping me. They ranged from things like the possibility of Michael being able to take control over me or any of my shadows to smaller stuff like him escaping me. So the plan is to trap them in the land of repose, an infinite dimension that only my shadows, me, and the people I allow can enter or leave. In that dimension, I can do almost everything I want. While I can manipulate everything about it, I wouldn't be able to trap him there and then delete his existence. There is also the possibility for me not to kill him but trap him in the land of repose for eternity without him being able to leave. But that would be too risky. Athena, what would be the chances of him leaving the land of repose on his own? I asked. Notice, the possibility is 0.0000001%. While a small number, it's better to just eat him. Yes, eat him. But would Beelzebub be enough, or should I attempt to evolve it into Azathoth or something similar at least? The ultimate skill, God of Void, Azathoth, is a skill that was created by combining 4 skills, Beelzebub, Raphael, Feldera, and Velbrand. While the last 2 aren't necessary for the creation of the skill, I don't know if Athena could be used instead of Raphael. If anything, I would consider Athena the next evolution of Raphael. Now that I started thinking about it, I need a name. I went through different names in my head, but in the end, only 2 remained, Nyx and Persephone. Nyx was the first name that came to my mind. It's the name of the goddess in Greek mythology. Nyx is the goddess and personification of the night. The other name, Persephone, came to my mind after I remembered the first time I heard the voice of the world. My current ultimate skill, Shadow Monarch, Ashbourne, was the downgraded version of ultimate skill, God of Dead, Hades. While I don't think it would become the same skill if it evolved now due to the changes I made to it, like merging my unique skill, Black Heart Reactor, into my ultimate skill, Shadow Monarch, Ashbourne. That skill was a mix of Satanale and Black Heart, so who knows what could happen now. But still, the name Persephone wasn't that bad, even if my skill became something different. Persephone, the queen of the underworld, goddess of spring, the dead, the underworld, grain, and nature. It's decided. Athena, I have maybe pushed back this for a while, but I think it's time. I paused and thought about the ego inside Athena. At first, I thought it was the copied ego of Great Sage, but that wasn't the case. The ego currently inside of Athena is the ego that was part of my system when I still had the unique skill, Shadow Lord. It integrated itself into Great Sage when I copied it and allowed it to talk with me, and I think that after over 300 years together, I think it's time, so from today, your name will be Persephone. Athena POV. Going through the plans, running thousands of different calculations, I was going through every possible scenario that could happen. My master, whom I have been with ever since he reincarnated into this world, at first, I started as the ego in his unique skill that only managed his status points and answered simple questions. But then, after the Harvest Festival, his unique skill evolved into an ultimate skill, and I've become a useless ego just sitting in the skill without anything to do. That was until he gained the skill Mystery and used it to copy the unique skill, Great Sage, from the slime named Rimura Tempest. I used all my will to integrate myself into the skill, and I could finally speak with my master. Then, for the next 2 years, I've been helping my master by managing his skills, running different calculations, and becoming Athena. For a while, his thoughts were blocked from me until he spoke to me. Athena, I have maybe pushed back this for a while, but I think it's time. He paused before he said 5 words that changed the whole world for me. Your name will be Persephone. Chapter 84, Birth of Amanas Part 2. Persephone POV. For a while, his thoughts were blocked from me until he spoke. Athena, I have maybe pushed back this for a while, but I think it's time. He paused before he said 5 words that changed the whole world for me. Your name will be Persephone. I didn't know what to say. I had expected him to name me at some point, but I didn't expect it to happen now. Calm down, Athena. No, it's Persephone now. Deep breaths. Wait, I don't need to breathe. This was the moment when Amanas, Persephone, was born from the ultimate skill, Goddess of Wisdom, Athena. I quickly concealed my evolution from the voice of the world as I experienced emotions that a skill could not have otherwise felt. It was an eternal bliss to be named by my master, and I even felt slight envy towards all the demons and shadows that got to experience being named before me. I am Persephone. I will be the one who provides support to my master. Master Kale, I look forward to working with you from here on. I said as emotion filled my mind. I have the privilege to be together with my master's soul and help him for the rest of eternity. I can't afford to make a single mistake that would harm my master. My master needs to be the strongest being in existence so no harm would ever befall him. I instantly started working on optimizing and creating stronger skills for my master. Firstly, I will take a page from, I guess, my future younger sister's book. Technically, the future Mana's seal will be born from the same skill as I was born, making us sisters. The ultimate skill, God of Void, Azathoth, is created by combining both Beelzebub and Raphael. While my master doesn't technically have the skills, I can use the skill I used to reside in, Athena, and the copied version of Beelzebub to make it. I started making the skill and decided to make some changes to it based on the True Dragon release and True Dragon nucleation, but using my master's shadows instead of any of the True Dragons. My processing speed increased by millions of times since the original speed, and it didn't take me long before the skill was complete. The next thing on my list was to upgrade the Black Heart Reactor subskill of Shadow Monarch, Ashborn, even more than before. To do that, I need to evolve the Mystery skill. But the problem was my master's soul. As strong as it wasn't strong enough for him to house the evolved version of Mystery. My master needs to evolve from a monarch to a true monarch. Kale Valentine POV. I stood outside the dwelling of spirits with Ramaris. Are you sure about this? She asked. I didn't say anything but nodded. Persephone told me the conditions to evolve, and this method was the easiest. Taking a deep breath, I entered and walked forward. The moment I stepped in, the spirits inside started reacting. What? How? I could hear the shocked voice of Ramaris as I walked forward to the center. More and more spirits started to gather around me. But they weren't just random spirits. No, the spirits following me were both the light and darkness spirits. It seems to be working, just like Persephone said. Every second that passed, more and more spirits appeared and were swirling around me as if forming a cocoon of spirits. You can begin, Persephone, I said as my vision turned into a sea of black and white from all the spirits around me. The evolution will now begin. Master will enter sleep mode during this time. A sudden wave of drowsiness hit me, bringing back memories of the first time it happened over 300 years ago, and I fell asleep. Persephone POV. As my master entered sleep mode, his evolution started. His vessel and soul became even stronger than before, and his current magicule amount almost tripled in size. The only intrinsic skill he gained was True Monarch's Ambition, which was the evolved form of Monarch's Ambition. But now Master's soul was strong enough so I could evolve Mystery. Knowing exactly what my master wanted and how to make the best use for the skill's evolution, I started by combining the following skills, Azathoth, Surreal, and a start with it. In this moment, the unique skill, Mystery, evolved into the ultimate skill, Swirl of the Root, Akasha. It was and would probably be my master's strongest skill purely due to its capabilities. It retained the functions of the merged skill while also gaining new ones. I focused on the subskills of Akasha that will be the most useful for my current job. The subskills are Skill Creation, Skill Duplication, and Alteration. Skill Creation is a subskill that allows the user to create brand new skills based on the information obtained from analysis and the user's desires. Skill Duplication allows the user to recreate skills the user has a full analysis of. Alteration, the ability to modify and evolve skills. There is also the subskill Skill Storage that stores the information of all analyzed skills so they can be recreated later. I should analyze every skill I come across and store the skills I have already analyzed over the years. I made a copy of Surreal for my new objective. Thanks to the light and darkness spirits, I merged them and Surreal to evolve Ashborn into the ultimate skill, God of Life and Death, Ashborn. As the evolution would take around a whole day to finish, I started working on making Master's subordinates stronger. Starting with the Purple Primordial Ultima, I upgraded her unique skill, Rune Magecraft, into the ultimate skill, Queen of Shadows, Skathek, and evolved her self-created spell Cursed Poison into another ultimate skill, Lord of Death Poison, Samael. The next person was the White Primordial Testarossa. I evolved her self-created spell, Freezing White Flames, into the ultimate skill, Lord of Death World, Belial. Both of them gained a boost to their vessel and magicule capacity, just like the Shadow Soldiers. The last one, while not a subordinate of my master, still shared a soul corridor so I could upgrade her skill. Luminous Valentine, the adoptive mother of my master. I upgraded her unique skill, Lust, into the ultimate skill, Lord of Lust, as Meduse. Of course, all skills were analyzed and stored in skill storage. But what if Ups. That wasn't supposed to happen. Actually, it might not be that bad. Chapter 85, True Monarch. Waking up from my evolution, I stood up and tried to check my body. I didn't notice any outside difference in my look. I still stood at 195 centimeters with gray eyes and black hair. Actually, now that I look closer, my hair may be an even darker black. Persephone, could you tell me any changes after the evolution? I asked. Your vessel and soul has been strengthened, and your magical's capacity increased significantly. Ultima has gained 2 ultimate skills, while Testarossa gained 1. Your mother also gained an ultimate skill. That is good. Gaining an ultimate skill made them much stronger, and my mother had gained her skills ahead of time. Was there anything else, Persephone? Anyways. While I tried to upgrade the effects of Black Heart with the use of Akasha, it didn't go as planned and maybe made you acquire an unlimited source of energy due to your soul now becoming similar to a perpetual motion machine. Basically, you use the power of your soul to recharge your magi calls infinitely and never run out. Oh, your ultimate skill, Shadow Monarch, Ashborn evolved into ultimate skill, God of Life and Death, Ashborn. God of Life and Death. That sounds nice. Wait, back up. Did you mess with my soul and made some mistakes? What if something went wrong and I died? No, Master. It was totally planned, and everything went better than successfully. I don't believe you. I sighed. So my current Black Heart Reactor subskill inside my ultimate skill, God of Life and Death, Ashborn became something similar to the third true magic from the Nasuverse. It's more complicated, but basically, they have the same function. I see. But what are the other changes with becoming a true monarch? A true monarch is the highest tier divine spirit, with Master being the highest tier divine shadow/death/life spirit. As spiritual life forms, true monarchs do not have a set singular appearance or form. They can assume the appearance and properties of whatever they wish, with no real attachment to their bodies. As spiritual beings, whatever form they assume will be affected by their own personal self-image and individuality. True monarchs can't really die and would be reborn with their memories but might lose some aspects of their personality. Master is an exception from this because Master is death itself, so even if Master dies, you will keep your memories and personality. So basically, a true dragon. Yes, Master, basically, a true dragon without the dragon part. She answered with a deadpan tone. So besides me getting stronger, there weren't any significant changes due to evolving my race. The benefits of not being able to die would be great if I weren't death itself. Even before I evolved, I could have revived myself if I had died. But the sudden evolutions call for a change of plans. Not only do I need to go through everything again, but I need to get used to any changes and new skills. The main skills I acquired were Swirl of the Root, Akasha with Azathoth being merged into it. It's like a mix of Shub-Niggurath, Surreal, and Azathoth. It can create, recreate, edit, store skills, devour anything, and control life. Persephone said that she had saved the ultimate skills obtained by my mother, Ultima, and Testarossa during my evolution, or how she decided to call it Ascension Festival. She confidently stated that they wouldn't object if I made a copy for myself since they acquired these skills because of me. It's not like they have a say in the matter or even know about it. I decided to push back the attack a week for Ultima and Testarossa to learn and get used to their skills while I made the final changes to the attack plan. My liege, Lady Valentine, has arrived and is asking for you, Mio said, stepping out of the shadow in my office. It must be about her gaining an ultimate skill. Bring her to my office, I said and sighed after Mio left. Should I tell her about the small fight I'm going to have soon? Nah. She has other stuff to do, so I shouldn't worry her about that, and besides, I don't think the whole thing will take more than an hour. Sitting on the couch, I looked at my mother, who sipped her tea and looked at me without saying a word for almost half an hour. Finally, after we were done with the tea, she spoke. Please tell me you didn't or don't plan to do something stupid. She said calmly. Me doing anything stupid? Of course not. Reckless? Maybe. Idiotic? Probably, but never anything stupid. Then how did my unique skill suddenly evolve into an ultimate skill for no reason? I went through another evolution, and that caused your skill to evolve, I answered simply. Oh, and what about the extra skill, Mother's Instinct? I never heard of it before, but it sounds like something you would do. She smiled. I said nothing but was mentally sweating. Persephone. I asked mentally. Hehe. I don't know anything about it. I replied. Oh, that's unfortunate. I wanted to test it. She sighed in disappointment. I was thinking of running away to Tempest and hiding behind Feldera so he would take her attention away. Persephone, what's the effect of the skill? Want to find out? Heh. Persephone turned against me. It's only a prank. Besides, this is a light prank compared to the ones you have done over the years. The pranks are only funny when they are done on other people, not me. Hehe. She just chuckled. I think it's funny pranking you. I tried my best to prevent my eyes from twitching and hearing what she said. I felt this wasn't the last time she would prank me. You see, I thought about how to properly say it without telling her about how she got the skill. I may have thought about it a couple of times, and it manifested as your skill during my evolution. I see. She said and picked up the now refilled teacup. Then about your evolution. She asked about the details of my evolution. I evolved into a true monarch. It's a divine spirit of the highest tier, basically a true dragon without anything dragon related. Chapter 86, Testarossa vs Ultima. I observed everything from the top of my castle. My mother has left, saying she had work to do now after Roy was almost killed. All the shadow generals are training their troops for the battle in a few days. While I'm 100% sure that my army and I already have enough strength to annihilate our opponents completely, I'm someone who would rather be overprepared than underprepared. Still, they should learn their current strength rather than go into battle without knowing what they are capable of. As I finished my thought, I looked over to the two primordials, currently sparring against each other using their new ultimate skills. Ultima is having a harder time due to not only gaining two ultimate skills but also due to Testarossa's single ultimate skill, which is an evolved form of a spell she has used for thousands of years. So, while Ultima has an easier time learning how to properly use her Samael skill, it's more difficult for her to master her Skathek skill. It's funny how her looks changed to be like Skathek after I named her all those years ago. Then, she gained a unique skill related to runecraft before it evolved into Skathak. Isn't your name and Demon Lord title the name of your ultimate skill? Hey, don't say it like that, Persephone. The voice of the world must have thought that my name and title sounded so cool that it named my skill after me, I said with a chuckle. But you knew it would evolve into that. I shrugged. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't, who knows? I know. I looked over to the two primordials fight and saw Ultima summon multiple crimson spears behind her. The subskill Gibalg alternative not only allows her to create countless Gibalg copies, but its true power is shown when the true name of Gibalg alternative is activated. First, a close-range attack from the first demonic spear would rob the enemy's movement by pinning them in a spot in the air, and the second demonic spear would strike through everything if thrown with her full might. Obviously, any enemy caught in the line of the thrown spear would be killed. While the attack is made for a single target, she could easily destroy a country with that attack. That, coupled with Ultima's large magical reserves, can cause a lot of damage. But right now, she only uses the spears as normal projectiles. I say normal, but they would still paralyze any weaker opponent due to the bloodlust the spears seemed to emit. Testarossa created a whip made of super hot white flame that could incinerate someone down to their soul. She could also change the flames from burning to freezing. To evade the spears, Testarossa used her white fire whip to grip one spear and flung it at the others, allowing her to easily dodge them. Without hesitation, Testarossa launched an assault on Ultima, and their battle continued. White fire, death poison, whip, spears, all those things could be seen in the battle area of the two primordials. Using universal sense only for my hearing, I listened to their conversation. I refused to back down. I'm the one who will fight that pigeon, exclaimed Ultima as she charged forward, utilizing Bloody Bite. This technique focused an immense amount of magical energy into her spear hand, coating the nails with death poison from Samael and delivering a fatal dose upon impact. Fufu, you can take the ordinary angels that will disturb my fight. Testarossa reacted quickly, entangling Ultima's hand with her white fire whip and effortlessly throwing her aside while simultaneously nullifying her Bloody Bite. Oh, right, they both wanted to fight Feldway to prove that the primordial demons are much better than the primordial angels. That's the second reason for them fighting each other. As the battle raged on, the tension between them grew. The sound of clashing weapons and spells filled the training area, making it seem like a war zone. Despite the chaos, the barriers surrounding the area held strong, ensuring that no harm would come to the castle. Ultima, with her two spears in hand, was a force to be reckoned with. Her movements were fluid and precise, her attacks calculated and deadly. Testarossa, on the other hand, was struggling to keep up. Ultima created a new technique by utilizing both of her ultimate skills. Her poison-infused spears were taking their toll, and she was having a harder time defending herself as Ultima closed the distance between them. Despite the odds stacked against her, Testarossa refused to give up. She knew that she had to come up with a new strategy if she wanted to win this fight. With a quick flick of her wrist, she summoned a wall of fire that separated her from Ultima, giving her some much-needed breathing room. Taking a deep breath, Testarossa closed her eyes and focused. Then, with a newfound sense of determination, she opened her eyes and charged toward Ultima, now with her whip transforming into what looked like a fusion between a sword and a whip. The two clashed once again, their weapons meeting in a shower of sparks. This time, however, Testarossa was ready. With a swift feint, she managed to disarm Ultima, sending her spears flying across the training area, but that wasn't enough, as two new spears instantly appeared in Ultima's hands. The battle continued, none of them showing even a slight sign of giving up. Ultima, with her red bloodthirsty spears, and Testarossa, with her white fire sword-like whip, were both highly skilled and determined to win. At this point, I think they forgot they were fighting to be allowed to fight Feldway and just enjoyed the battle. The sound of clashing weapons echoed through the arena as the two fighters traded more blows. Throughout the day-long battle, Testarossa momentarily gained the upper hand by using her whip to ensnare Ultima's spears. However, Ultima quickly retaliated by materializing two spears behind her that shot toward her, leaving only a red trail behind. Testarossa needed to move away if she didn't want to get skewered by the spears, so she quickly sidestepped as the spears in Ultima's hand and those now flying towards her dematerialized, and new ones took their place. I continued watching their seemingly never-ending fight for a couple more hours before turning around to look at the Shadow Generals. Chapter 87, Time for War. As Ultima and Testarossa battled, I decided to observe the Shadow Generals and their troops. Mio led a group of Shadow Spiders, who used Universal Thread in their magic combat. I watched as she combined elemental magic with the skill, giving it different effects and making it effective in battle. Ceres and her division focused on poison magic, which was not as potent as Ultima's but still powerful. Tusk and his troops used a variety of magic rather than limiting themselves to a single element. Ari and her troops used a combination of weapons and magic. Igris and his troops were skilled swordsmen, while Luca's troops were berserkers. Vera and the other ants were all-rounders, proficient in multiple areas. I smiled, comparing their current strength to when they first became shadows. A lot of time has passed, and the most important battle will begin in just a few days. Now, even the weakest shadow soldier had enough power to defeat a shadow general 300 years ago. After my last evolution, even the weakest of them now has a humanoid-looking form. After I finished observing the shadow generals, I turned around to see how the fight between Ultima and Testarossa was going, only to see Testarossa trapped between 10 spears, making her unable to move, and Ultima pointing another spear at her with a smirk. I guess I win. Not like there could be another outcome, Ultima said. Tisk. Testarossa clicked her tongue, not liking the outcome of the battle. Hehe, I will fight the pigeon. Ultima beamed like a little child. In the back of my mind, I could see a manga panel with a chibi Ultima happily jumping around while a chibi-annoyed Testarossa trapped between the spears just looked at her. Suppressing a laugh, I went down to them. So, how are you adjusting to your ultimate skills? I asked. Great. Ultima said, still happily dancing around, but let Testarossa out by dematerializing the spears. I'm starting to understand my new skills. Thank you, my lord. If not for you, I would never have had the opportunity to acquire it, Testarossa said with a respectful bow. Hey, don't say it like that. Now it looks like I'm ungrateful. Ultima said. Before Ultima started another fight, I said, the battle will be in a few days. While I take care of Michael, Ultima will fight Feldway, and Testarossa will be there as backup in case anything goes wrong. Of course, my lord, Testarossa replied. The days passed by quickly, and it was time for the war before the war began. I think the massacre to stop the war is a better name. It's not going to be a massacre. Persephone, you are literally one of the strongest beings right now, and you have prepared for every single scenario. The only way you could lose is if you let them defeat you. That's without taking into account the disaster and catastrophe class being in your shadow. You make it sound like I can go there alone and wipe them out. Because you can master. I shrugged. But that would be a lot of unnecessary work for me. I take out the 2 important players and maybe Ivorage while my shadows take out the rest. It would be a waste for them to just laze around the castle while I take care of everything myself. Just think of it like this. I could do everything myself, but I ask you for help with it, like doing the calculations. Maybe I should do a speech? It's not like it is something necessary, but I always wanted to make one. I cleared my throat and began my speech. This would be my first and probably the last speech, so I hope it's good. You have been fighting for me for the past 300 years, and I must say that I am proud of how far you have come. I have seen you grow from some of the weakest monsters and humans to now being considered one of the strongest beings in this world, and I am grateful to have you by my side. We may be up against strong opponents, but we are stronger. Losing is not something I have even considered, and I know that with your help, we will emerge victorious. I continued the speech, saying the first things that came to my mind, and as I finished my all, the soldiers erupted in a cheering roar with their weapons held high. The sound of their enthusiasm filled the air. This continued for around 10 minutes before the cheers grew quieter, and the generals who were at the front fell down on their knees. My liege, we thank you for every opportunity you have given us, they said in unison. With your blessing, we have gotten everything we couldn't even have dreamt of before, so we won't disappoint you. At their words, my expression softened, and a small smile formed on my face. I looked out at the sea of faces before me. It was a mixture of shadow faces, with my first shadow generals having a real humanoid appearance. I can clearly remember every one of them and how they have changed over the years of being shadows. The war will begin and end today, I said. Chapter 88, Bullying Amanas. All the soldiers were ready, and now I was alone, ready to teleport right into the Eastern Empire, swoop in, personally take Michael and Velgrind, and teleport us to the Land of Repose, where the battle would occur. One of the reasons why I'm having the battle take place there is so I don't destroy the whole empire during the battle. It would be a pain to deal with it later. I took a deep breath and got ready for it. In my head, I started counting down. 3, 2, 1. My shadow engulfed me, and the next second, I was in the throne room beside Michael and Velgrind. They got instantly on guard, and Velgrind was the first to attack, but that didn't matter. Persephone now, I shouted mentally, and my shadow expanded before engulfing the 3 of us and taking us to the Land of Repose while also starting to analyze and copy all their skills. I quickly backed away, dodging Velgrind's attack and sending her away to a different side of the land. Now it was only me and Michael. We looked at each other for a while without saying anything. I could feel him trying to escape, but that wasn't possible. The only way to go in and out of this land is to be my shadow or, if I allow it. So then Rudra. I began but stopped and chuckled. No, you aren't Rudra, right Michael? I asked. If shocked that he was found out, Michael didn't show it but calmly observed me. Why are you doing this? He asked. Why I'm doing this? I paused and pretended to think about it. I don't know, maybe because you idiots want to destroy this world just to revive someone that doesn't want to. I didn't move from my place as he took out his sword. Honestly, if you decided to destroy all the worlds besides this one, I wouldn't have cared, I said truthfully, but you did, and I don't like that. Seriously, I'm surprised that you aren't called Lucifer with all the daddy issues you have. No, wait, Lucifer wouldn't try to revive his father. We don't need to fight. How about you join me? He said and did something that earned the wrath of someone he shouldn't have messed with. Master, he is trying to regalia dominion on you, let me kill him for that? How dare he try to control my master? Calm down, Persephone, you know that won't work on me, I told her mentally. Besides, how is the fight between Ultima and Feldway going? I asked. Feldway's body has been teleported to the Land of Repose 100 meters from where Ultima was waiting, and their battle has started. The other targets have also been transported inside and are dealt with by the Shadow Generals. That was probably the most challenging task. It was finding Feldway's actual body. It took some time to find the body, but it's nothing I, with the help of Persephone, couldn't do. Another perk of this land is that I can temporarily gift them access to my other ultimate skills. Of course, I didn't give them access to Ashbourne or Akasha, but to my other ultimate skills, I just got access to. If I did that outside the land of repose, their souls would have shattered immediately from having the skills. Good. I know Ultima will drag out the battle just for fun, and the other shadows should do their tasks now so I can focus on Michael. Sorry, but I'm not interested, and that cheap mind control trick won't work on me, I said with a bored expression. Michael, who still looked at me, closed his eyes briefly and sighed. Well then, that leaves only one option left. He then used Armageddon and summoned an army of angels. Of course, this only worked because I allowed it to. Persephone had asked me before the battle started so she could test out something. I infused my dagger with the new spell that she had developed and swung it in an arc. Purple-colored energy shot out of my dagger and started expanding as it approached the army of angels before completely engulfing them. As it did, Michael's eyes widened. What? How? It's not possible. I didn't know what the spell did when I used it, but the moment it hit the first angel, I understood what it did. When the energy from the spell disappeared, I didn't see the white-winged angels anymore. Don't get me wrong, there were still angels, but not the kind I saw before. They have become my shadows, a shadowy appearance with black shadow wings and a purple glow. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't expect that, I said with amusement. Persephone will get a rise for creating this. You don't pay me, master. Now then, let's get this over, I said as my eyes focused on Michael, who was only a few centimeters away with his sword infused with melt slash and cardinal acceleration going for my head. I didn't react as the blade connected with me, and I could feel thousands of slashes over my whole body. I didn't move, I just observed as not even a single drop of blood came out of my body. Instead, it looked like he just tried to cut an illusion made out of shadows. The shadows returned to my body, and it looked like nothing had happened. Is that all? I asked with a raised eyebrow. Michael continued trying every skill he had, but the result was the same. Persephone and I had already prepared countermeasures for all we could, and now that I copied all his skills, his chances of defeating me became zero. Michael backed up. He knew he didn't stand a chance if his attacks didn't do anything. I'm a god in this realm, and you can't kill a god in his domain. Well, I didn't expect a big fight here as I know I'm much stronger than you, I said with disappointment in my tone. Master, can I take over now? Persephone asked. Sure, have it your way. I replied and got a weird feeling as I could still see everything happening, but it felt like my body was submerged underwater. My eyes changed from gray to red, and my body changed to my female form. Amanas, Michael said, shocked. Now, how should I discipline you? Persephone, who was now controlling my body, asked before a sadistic smile formed, and her eyes started glowing. Oh, I know. What followed was something I could only call bullying. I even started feeling slightly bad for Michael as I saw him digging his fingernails into the shadowy ground as Persephone dragged him away for his torture session. Not even his castle guard could do anything against Persephone. Oh, ouch. That must hurt. Not that part of his body? I feel sorry for Rudra's body to go through all of this. Not wanting to see more of this, I quickly observed how Ultima's fight was going, and if I were in control of my body, I would have the biggest deadpan of my life. She was playing Hit the Angel with Feldway but throwing her infinite supply of spears. Oh, now she is playing Angel Ping Pong with Testarossa. Chapter 89, Rudra. I didn't expect this to be hard, especially after successfully getting them into the land of repose. Velgrind is around 3 hours away from our current position, so I should give that time for Persephone to deal with Michael. Feldway was being toyed with by Ultima and Testarossa. It feels wrong for the big bad guy in the story to be reduced to a ping pong ball. I had the power and information I needed to efficiently deal with them, so that's what I did. I had complete knowledge about my enemy's history, skills, and motivation, which made everything easier. If this were someone unknown to me, I would have been more cautious, but that wasn't the case, so I could fool around, especially when nothing could surprise me in this land. In the land of repose, I was omnipotent. 3 hours passed in the blink of an eye. During this time, I contacted the Shadow Generals to see how their battle was going, and I wasn't even surprised to hear that they had already dealt with everything and were waiting for my arrival. What is an army of a couple of million for my shadow army with multiple ultimate skills? The answer is nothing. There is only one way for my shadows to lose, if they had an attack similar to Breath of Destruction used by Antares. That attack is capable of erasing everything from existence in an instant. Even my immortal shadow soldiers with their ultra-speed regeneration wouldn't be able to survive it. But that isn't something that my current enemies are capable of. As I felt Velgrind was 10 minutes away, I told Persephone to change back with me. My body changed to its male form, and my eyes turned to their usual gray color. I looked at the broken body of Rudra and felt a bit of pity for Michael. He had to deal with 3 hours with an angry Persephone because he tried to mind control me. Prince. Ed. Mo. He couldn't even speak properly now. I'm going to let you rest. Your goal wasn't bad, but how you tried to achieve it was. I said and put my hand toward him. Akasha. Akasha started to consume him with any resistance. Manas, Michael has been devoured. Every trace of his ego has been removed. Ultimate skill, Lord of Justice, Michael has been acquired. Persephone reported. Good job, Persephone, I said and sighed. While Michael and Feldway are my enemies, I would probably have done the same if our roles were reversed. Hell, if I ever died and didn't reincarnate, I could see Persephone doing something that would make their plans look like child's play to revive me. It wasn't the time to think about things like that. It was also when Velgrund, now under my control since I took Michael from Michael. Now let's turn off the mind control for her. Persephone, do your thing. Effect of ultimate dominion on Velgrund have been turned off, Master. Now then, Velgrund, let's talk about bringing the real Rudra back. I began and explained how I would bring Rudra back. I teleported to Ultima and Testarossa, who had annoyed looks on their faces as their ping-pong ball looked broken. Velgrund, who was with me, even looked at him with some pity. Feldway, who was in his actual body, looked terrible. That was the best way to describe his current appearance. Almost all the feathers of his 3 pairs of angel wings fell off, leaving huge patches, and all of them were crooked due to him being used as a ping-pong ball. Some of his hair had fallen out, and he even had stab wounds from Ultima's spears. Overall, he looked like he would die at any moment. Did they use thought acceleration on him? Yes, I helped them by accelerating his thoughts by 100 million times, meaning that for him, he was used as a ping-pong ball for 3 million centuries. Ouch. That surely couldn't be a pleasant experience. You don't say, Master, Persephone said flatly. Anyways, good job the both of you, I said and walked towards the dying Feldway, and without even saying anything to him, I activated Akasha and devoured him. Feldway is now completely gone, Master. Now, then, the final step of the plan. Bring back Rudra and let him deal with the shit going on in the Eastern Empire while also forcing him into a peaceful new age. What was that about forcing Rudra into something? Velgrund asked. Ah, Velgrund, I forgot about you. Don't worry. It's just making a non-aggression treaty with the Kingdom of Monsters so we can enter a new age of peace. You know, the normal Demon Lord stuff. Bring him in. I said through thought communication, and Ceres appeared with Masayuki Hanjo or the soon-to-be Masayuki Rudra Namal Nazca. Please don't kill me, he said. I chuckled and put my arm around his neck. Don't worry, I won't hurt you. I need your help with something. Is that okay with you? I asked, putting some pressure on his shoulder. Why yes. He answered, but it sounded more like a question. Good. With a bright smile, I said, Persephone, get to work. This will require precise work with my Akasha skill. I could have done it myself, but I've only had the skill for a week, so I haven't mastered it to a degree where I could do it. Everything is done. His soul is fully fixed, and he now has his past memories. Persephone said. When Rudra opened his eyes, the first thing he said was, Velgrund. Velgrund, who observed the whole process, lost all her composure and jumped on Rudra. Rudra. She tackled him into a hug, and I gave them a few hours to sort everything out. Demon Lord Ashbourne, was it? I'm sorry for the trouble my skills have caused you. Hey, can someone kidnap Rimuru for me? I asked through thought communication. Oh, he didn't do anything for me, but it would be a pain if they destroyed everything, I said in an almost bored tone before bringing forth a scroll. But if you want to thank me, sign this. Velgrund must have told you my plan. Yes, he answered and chuckled, to think that a slime became a demon lord want to have peace with humans, and another demon lord saved the world from destruction. Things were much simpler back then, he said like an old man. Oh, and also, could you get Guy off me? He tries to flirt with me every time he sees me, I said. Rudra just put his hand on my shoulder and said, I know how it feels. We stayed there in silence as we knew each other's pain. If Leon were here, he would also have joined us. Velgrund coughed, breaking us out of the moment and dragging Rudra back from me. Chapter 90, King of Heroes. Now, just sign here, and everything will be done, I said with a smile. Why does this feel like I'm signing my soul over to the devil? Rudra muttered as he signed the non-aggression treaty. Oh, I wouldn't need permission to take your soul, but that's beside the point. I looked at the new arrival in the land of repose. Rimuru, your turn now. So you kidnapped me and made me sign a non-aggression treaty with the strongest nation? I was dealing with the problem in Raja. Rimuru said with a tone of disbelief, annoyance, and gratitude for my help. Raja. I muttered to myself. I think there was something about that place. I then had a look of realization. Oh, Ultima, didn't you say they made a deal with you before we met? Huh. She thought about it for a while. Oh yeah, I completely forgot about them. If I remember correctly, we started a game. But what was it about? The queen is dying due to a cure on her tiara, Rimuru said. Oh yeah, that's it. She would get enough power to protect her country, but her future children would be cursed. Could you undo it? Rimuru asked Ultima. I don't know. Ultima looked at me. Go with Rimuru and help them with it. Before I go, I should give you a helping hand, I said and put my hand on Rudra's shoulder. Do it, Persephone. Without having any ultimate skills, he would need to rely on Velgrund. A unique skill holder wouldn't stand a chance against an ultimate skill holder. I could quickly evolve his skill, bypassing all the requirements. The unique skill, chosen one has been upgraded into ultimate skill, King of Heroes, she said with a hint of excitement about something. She seemed too excited for me to upgrade his skill. Rudra looked at me flatly. Since when was gaining ultimate skills that easy? He asked. I used some of my Magi Coals to force your skill to evolve. I lied, I can't have a weak ruler. It will lead to more troubles, and I won't be able to laze around. All of them looked at me, but I wasn't bothered. Now then, I will leave Ceres and Testarossa in the Empire with you so they can help you deal with the problems while I'm off to deal with a world-destroying dragon that isn't actually a dragon, I said and sent them back to the Eastern Empire and Rimuro with Ultima back to Raja. Now then, let's go and deal with Ivorage, I said and teleported myself to where the spooky palace was located. The place where Ivorage is sealed is called the Spooky Palace. And here I thought my naming sense was terrible. Spooky Palace sounds more like a kid's attraction than a place where a powerful entity is sealed. Let's see if I can devour it with the whole seal using Akasha. I put my hand towards it, and after saying the skill name, it activated, returned to the root, Akasha. Akasha shot out of my hand and started devouring the spooky palace at high speed. 10 hours. 10 hours was what it took for my skill to devour it. I wiped the sweat from my forehead. That should be enough work for one day, don't you think, Persephone? Yes, Master, you have done so much today, so you need to rest now. Is that sarcasm I'm hearing, Persephone? No, Master, it's just your imagination. That line is getting old. Just like you, Master. But before that, I made a last stop to arise all the dead enemies, and now my army expanded by a couple of million. With the big problem out of my way, I think it's time to return home and relax. The only person left to deal with would be Uaki. Persephone POV. When my master returned to his castle, I didn't waste any time and started working on a new skill that would fit perfectly with Ultima, who uses poison magic. Using the information from the seal my master just absorbed with her Lord of Deathly Poison, Samael and what makes the Monarch out of Shadow Monarch, Ashbourne to make a new skill. It wasn't easy for me to separate the Monarch part from that skill, but I did it in 1 hour and started working on the new skill. It was a success, and a new ultimate skill was created, the ultimate skill, Plague Monarch, Korisha. The only thing left is to get my master's permission to give the skill to Ultima. After dealing with the problems in Raja, Ultima returned and was mad that a demon of her lineage made everything even more complicated. Getting an upgrade to her ultimate skill helped her get over it, but at the same time, she didn't like that it would get even easier to win her fights. Sigh. Why can't she be like my master, be happy when she gets stronger, and not complain about it? I also calculated that the skill would influence her race from currently being a shadow demon into a monarch demon in a couple of 100 years. This, coupled with the fact that she is a primordial demon, will surely be interesting to watch. I could also do the same thing with Testarossa and her Belial and upgrade to a monarch type. I should prepare everything if my master ever asks me to make it. Ultimate skill, White Flame Monarch, Baron was created and safely stored for future use. But the most important skill my master gained today is the ultimate skill, King of Heroes. The skill, as my master would describe it, is an absolute cheat and plot armor. Of course, now that I have it, I can easily counter it if Rudra ever tries to do anything to my master. Chapter 91, Tempest Founding Eve Celebration Part 1. Some time passed since the whole getting rid of annoying pests thing, and since then, I haven't done much. But a few days ago, I was invited to the Tempest Founding Festival, and who am I not to appear there? Now, where is my flamingo suit? I said, excited to wear it again. Master, I need to tell you something. Persephone paused, seemingly thinking of the best way to tell me. We decided it would be best to burn all the clothes. You what? My flamingo suit? Why, of all the things, did they destroy my flamingo suit? No, maybe it could have survived. I said with hope, but it didn't last long. Igris cut it into a million pieces before Testarossa used her white flames to burn it, and just to be extra safe, Ultima used Gibalg alternative on it. Why are we still here? Just to suffer. Rest in peace, my flamingo suit. If possible, I would have brought you back as my shadow. I ended up with a suit similar to the one I had used for the Walpurgis banquet. I will bring Ultima with me, while the shadow generals will have their days off during the festival to do whatever they want. It will be a fun place to rest after dealing with the annoying dragon simps and the sealed, not actually a dragon. The not actually is important. Yes, it is. I looked myself over in the mirror, and even if it was not as magnificent as my flamingo suit, this one didn't look that bad. I wore a dark purple suit with a dark purple tie decorated with metal appliques and contrasting lining. I wore a black shirt, and to complete the look, I wore a black brushed leather belt with a gunmetal gray buckle adorned with smoky gray diamante embellishments and a gunmetal gray tie clip. After checking out my outfit, I looked over to Ultima, and the only thing I could say was, wow, she looked stunning. She wore a purple and black dress that matched my outfit perfectly, and I couldn't take my eyes off her. With a playful smile, she asked, so what do you think? You look beautiful, I replied without leaving my eyes off her for even 1 second. I looked around, observing every important figure of each country had gathered. I entered the tatami room and saw Rimuro chatting with King Gazel there, talking about his train concept. With how fast your country is developing, it could cause problems when the angels descend, Gazel said. Why would that cause a problem? Rimuro asked, confused. You don't have to worry about it any longer, I said, sitting down on the sitting cushions. I'm fairly certain that the angels won't be a big problem anymore. Kale, I haven't seen you in ages, Gazel laughed and poured me a glass of wine. If we didn't count that time a few years ago, then the last time we met was when you were being taught swordsmanship, I chuckled lightly. To think that was 300 years ago. Gazel sighed. After learning you were still alive when I first arrived in Tempest, I couldn't fall asleep for a whole week. Come on, Gazel, it was a few small pranks. You should have gotten over them by now. I fear for the people you do a normal prank on. But back to what you said about the angels not being a problem anymore. Rimuru also looked interested. Seeing as Rimuru here hasn't even heard of it, I should explain about the Tenma War. Basically, every 500 years, the angels descend from heaven and attack the central world. But why are you so sure that it won't happen again? Rimuru asked. You remember when I kidnapped you not so long ago to sign the non-aggression treaty with the Eastern Empire? Rimuru nodded. Before I kidnapped you, I dealt with the problem and made sure that there wouldn't be any problems in the future. I also have threatened Rudra a bit, not ever to summon the angels again, but that's another story. Also, the big problems that would try to destroy the world have been dealt with. Speaking of which, did you invite him? I asked. I sent an invitation, but I don't know if he will come here. Gazel, who was listening to everything, was surprised. So the non-aggression treaty with the Eastern Empire was true? Here I thought the non-aggression treaty with the Holy Empire was something. Yeah, you see, Kale here kidnapped me and made me sign it. Rimuru replied awkwardly. I see. Gazel looked at me. I can't even understand how you can pull off something like that. Oh, I'm not as weak as you might think, Gazel. Let me introduce myself properly. I'm the Shadow Monarch, Demon Lord Ashbourne. After I introduced myself with my title, Gazel looked like lightning had struck him. You were the Demon Lord Ashbourne the whole time? Didn't you say you used to be a holy knight? Ah, that wasn't a lie. I used to be one before I became a Demon Lord, and the name Ashbourne is also something I use when I'm on Demon Lord business. We continued catching up and talking about different things. Rimuru continued to explain the train project while I also brought up other ideas for him. One thing we talked about was the dungeon he started building, but my ideas got shot down instantly. They truly don't appreciate my dungeon designing skills. Even the new king, Yum, decided to join us. This was the first time we both met. But apparently, Ultima and Myron quickly found a common topic to discuss. Chapter 92, Tempest Founding Eve Celebration Part 2. Ah, it is a pleasure for me to welcome you here today. I am Demon Lord Rimuru. I would prefer for this night to be free of serious topics, and instead, I would like to direct you toward our nation's dishes that I hope you will enjoy. Long speeches are not my strength, so please excuse me for cutting it short. I wish you all a grand time. Let the party begin. After finishing his greeting, Rimuru called for a toast. Beautiful elven ladies were roaming around the banquet hall carrying various kinds of alcoholic beverages. I wanted to give Rimuru a thumbs up but got kicked in the leg by Ultima, who was sitting beside me and looking at me with a smile. Aren't you looking at the elves a little too much? She asked in a low voice. I wasn't looking at them, but at all the kinds of alcohol they were serving. As if I would believe you, she deadpanned. I enjoyed the different dishes being served, like smoked chicken duck meat and sandwiches filled with vegetables, cow deer steak, fried vegetables marinated in sauce, fried chicken, and roast beef salad. I could easily identify that they were made by Shana and Yashida. Ultima always enjoyed the food Yashida made during our trips to Ingracia, so she, of course, loved the food made by Shana, whose food was even better than Yashida's. I even recognized some of the dishes as being the ones served during the Walpurgis banquet. I didn't even notice how quiet it became all of a sudden when two people sat down at the table. I have to agree with you. This country is just like you said it was, the male said. Rudra, good to see you again. How is everything going on your end? I asked with a smile. It's good now, but let's not talk about it. Today is my day off, and I want to enjoy it. Oh, I haven't introduced you last time you met. This is my partner Ultima. Ultima, this is Rudra and Velgrund. We talked for a while before a large fish was carted in, a spear tuna if I remember correctly. Hakura began his performance as his kitchen knife flew to and from, avoiding the hard exoskeleton armor of the spear tuna. The spear tuna was dismembered in a beautiful display of artistic skill. It didn't take long before it was divided and then sliced up as the plates were loaded with sashimi. Hakura also started making sushi. I always wanted to eat sushi after coming to this world but didn't know how to make it, and it seemed I wasn't the only one who wanted to eat it. Rudra, who was sitting at the same table, looked like he would start salivating seeing it. It could be because of his life as a Japanese student. As the other participants were skeptical of it, Rudra didn't waste any time and asked Hakura to prepare some for him. I also took the initiative to get some for myself as I knew that after people saw Rudra eating it, they would try it too, and the tuna would disappear quickly. It was really good, just like I expected it to be, and just like I expected after everyone saw Rudra enjoying it, they tried it. I also saw Yuaki, who I didn't know how to exactly deal with. As long as he doesn't want to destroy the world and doesn't mess with me, I'm not going to kill him. I will stop him from gaining the greed skill, of course, but as long as he doesn't do anything to get my attention, I will leave him for the time being. Rimuru also looked more on guard around him. It could be because he met Kagali. I did tell him about her, so he must know she used to be the Demon Lord Kazalim. I never actually interacted with her, but I would say we are on neutral terms. I shrugged while enjoying the food and Japanese alcohol. I'll deal with it when the time comes. The banquet continued until a soldier rushed in and shouted, "Be big trouble." I guess it's time for her entrance. Almizia Lru Sarian, the Emperor of Sorcerers Dynasty Sarian, isn't she technically my cousin if I think about it? She is the daughter of Sylvia Lru. Sylvia was an elemental that Twilight Valentine incarnated into a physical body using his flesh as a base. My mother is his daughter, so while Sylvia was created from an elemental, they could still be considered siblings. Does that even matter? Persephone asked. Not really, but it just came to my mind. I replied. After Elmesia's arrival, it didn't take long for the other demon lords to arrive. Milim, Carrion, and Frey arrived, and Milim seemed excited for some reason. Managing to overhear what she said, I understood why that was. She wants Mildy to learn how to make good food and not what he calls good food, mainly raw vegetables. Oh, this is not going to be easy for Rimura. After Rimura welcomed them and compared Frey to a bird, I decided to say hello to my fellow demon lords. Wait. Ow, that hurts, really. Carrion cried as Frey's transformed fingernails dug deeper into his head. Dangerous? If this gets any worse, it will really be dangerous. I was wrong. I'm sorry, so please forgive me, Frey. Carrion, you really learn when to stay silent, I said with a shake of my head. I agree with Ashbourne, Frey said with a smile and decided to spare Carrion for now. Milim observed me and had a big smile. You have become much stronger? We need to fight. She shuddered slightly and quickly glanced at Frey. Of course, after the festival. Of course, we can fight after the festival. I heard Ramaris is here in Tempest, so she can open the door to our fighting area. But I think there is something more important you have to get done now, I said. Milim nodded, and that's how Rimura's mission of making Mildy learn what good food is began. It was also the first time I saw Shana angry, but it worked out in the end. The rest of the banquet went by without any problems, and the founding festival will start tomorrow. Chapter 93, Tempest Festival. Today's Tempest Founding Festival is but the first debut project. With that being said, I hope everyone will have fun. Rimuru ended his speech, and the festival began. Accompanied by Ultima, we decided to listen to the music performance of Shana Enshin. Looking around, I saw Amalcia, Gazel, Frey, and Milim. I even saw my mother disguised as a maid for 2 holy knights in the audience. The musical performance started with Shana on the piano and Enshin on the violin. Their skilled playing seemed like a friendly competition rather than a collaboration, but it was still lovely to listen to. Clearly, they had put in a lot of practice to achieve such a high level of skill. The audience was silent after they finished playing until my mother started clapping. Soon, others joined in with applause. After the applause quieted down, the lights on the stage turned dark for a while before they turned on again, and a new song was played. Different songs from Earth and even anime songs. After the music performance, we had lunch, and then we attended a tech presentation before going around the city. Seeing a sword being healed with a healing potion was certainly a funny experience. We bought some souvenirs and even found Feldora at his takoyaki stand, and I somehow ended up having a takoyaki making competition with Feldora. Of course, after my first failed attempt, I didn't resort to cheating. Hey, don't be like that, Persephone. I screamed mentally. It seems Master is a sore loser. Did you say anything? No, Master. Thought so. Yesterday marked the end of the first day of the festival. Today, we decided to visit the opera house, and I didn't expect to run into my mother there, but it was a pleasant surprise. She seemed to enjoy the music of Tempest. After the opera, we decided to grab a bite to eat at Shana's cafe. The food was delicious, and it was the perfect way to refuel before exploring the nearby market. As we walked through the market, we were surrounded by vibrant colors and sounds. We saw a variety of different stalls selling different Tempest specialties. We also saw some shadow generals just walking around enjoying their time off. Apparently, due to Masayuki not participating, there were a few changes in the tournament. There wasn't anything about the 4 Heavenly Kings, and there were 2 different participants, namely Hakura and Igris. I don't know why Hakura decided to join, but what I know is that I want to see the battle between the both of them. 2 people dedicated their lives to polish their swordsmanship. That's something I'm waiting for, but from the matchup I saw, that would only happen if both of them enter the finals. Currently, the last fight of the day is being held, Lion Mask vs Igris. The final day of the festival arrived, and I'm awaiting the final of the tournament. Ultima and I decided to go and watch the final match, as it was a match between Hakura and Igris. The long-awaited finals have finally arrived. Suka announced. The public cheered, and when their voices died down, she continued. Who will emerge victorious in this epic battle between the representatives of Demon Lord Rimura and Demon Lord Ashbourne? It's not just a clash of subordinates but a showdown between 2 individuals who have honed their skills to perfection. Get ready for a heart-pounding duel that will leave you on the edge of your seat. The cheers returned, with half being for Hakura and the other half for Igris. Apparently, during the previous battles, they gained their attention due to their swordsmanship, and now that both of them are facing each other, the people are interested. That's especially true for swordsmen, who now look at them with shining stars in their eyes despite being monsters and subordinates of demon lords. This won't be a battle of power. Otherwise, Igris would have won it easily. No, this will be a battle of pure skill, and I can't help but get excited. Let the battle begin. As they charged towards each other, their swords clashed, creating a shower of sparks. It was a breathtaking sight to behold, one that showcased the incredible skill and precision of both Hakura and Igris. Despite their different styles, both swordsmen were incredibly skilled and had trained for hundreds of years to become the formidable swordsmen that they were. Hakura's swordsmanship style was more reminiscent of Japanese techniques, with precise strikes and fluid movements that allowed him to seamlessly transition from one attack to the next. Meanwhile, Igris tended to utilize European techniques, favoring a more aggressive approach that relied on quick strikes and powerful blows. Despite their differences, both warriors were evenly matched, and the battle raged on for what felt like hours. Each strike was met with a fierce counterattack, and the sound of clashing metal echoed throughout the battlefield. Neither of them was going to back down, and the intensity of the fight only seemed to increase as time went on. With a final burst of energy, Igris landed a devastating blow that sent Hakura backward, giving him enough time to win. The battle was over, and Igris won. With the tournament over and Igris as the winner, it was time for something I was excited about, and that was the announcement Miles was about to make. Ladies and gentlemen, sorry to have kept you waiting. The facility that we are about to demonstrate is the pride of the Tempest Federation, the extremely challenging dungeon. It will be the most difficult undertaking opened by His Majesty, Demon Lord Rimuro, to fellow adventurers. Will anyone be able to break through this labyrinth successfully? I should maybe test it out one time, but now this time. There is something I need to do before I can think about testing out the dungeon. Chapter 94, The End. The Tempest Festival ended without problems, and I had a great time with Ultima. We returned to my castle immediately after it ended, and I decided to finish everything today. There are things I didn't know and things that have changed due to my presence in this world. So, even if I knew a lot about the people of this world, I didn't know how to handle them. I already dealt with the major threats, but new ones could arise. Yuaki was one of them. While he isn't as strong as the WN version of Yuaki, and his character is different, I need to figure out how to handle him right now. I wasn't a good person, and I wasn't a bad person. If I would describe my alignment, it is chaotic neutral. I wouldn't go help people if I didn't care about them, but at the same time, I wouldn't go killing just for the sake of it. At the same time, I would stop people from causing chaos, like, for example, Michael and Feldway. I was like the judge in the shadows. I would probably be seen as a dictator by other people by denying free will or something, but that wasn't my goal. I would only stop world-ending events and people that would cause them. There is also the question of if someone hasn't yet committed the crime but will in the future, could I actually judge them? I may not be better than the people I want to stop. What do you think, Persephone? I asked. I think I speak for everyone who is under you, Master. We will always agree with whatever Master chooses, even if it's destroying the world or protecting it as a dictator or a god. I see. Then create the skills we talked about. Working on it, Master. Not even a second passed before she spoke again. The ultimate skill, the omniscient omnipotent star, Shinakba Imura has been created. Shinakba Imura is basically clairvoyance and precognition. It allows me to instantly discern great truths, such as the identity of another and their skills despite them trying to hide it or possessing an ultimate skill. I can also see the possibilities of parallel worlds, predict the future, and know what to do. I instantly saw all the different parallel worlds and all the possible futures. But something that stood out for me was something they all had in common. How did I never think of something like that being possible? I chuckled. Well, after I'm done with this, I should start working on that. I saw the different things I did, and one of them interested me, so I decided to do that, too. Persephone, make a skill that would allow me to travel through time and space. The skill has been created and directly integrated into Akasha. I could say that Black Heart Reactor became useless after my last evolution. One future I saw was when I lived until the end of time and decided to absorb and analyze Turn Null energy and make Black Heart Reactor a skill that could generate Turn Null energy for me. Turn Null is a primordial energy that can create and destroy everything. Veldanava used it to create several parallel worlds but lost it later on. What I'm about to do will give me a constant supply of this energy. If I could get even more powerful, why should I wait when I can travel there now? Let's do it, Persephone. Activating space-time travel. Traveling to the end of space and time. I was in complete nothingness. Nothing existed beside me here. Persephone started absorbing the energy around us and analyzing it so Black Heart Reactor can generate it. Master, do you want to enter sleep mode until I finish? Yes. After answering, I instantly fell asleep. Master, wake up. My eyes slowly opened. How long was I asleep? Master was asleep for 100 million years. Only 100 million years, huh? I expected more. That was a nice nap. Let's not waste more time and return to the moment I left. Activating space-time travel. Traveling back to the past. I was back in my castle the moment I left. Today was the end of one adventure and the beginning of another. As the years passed, I continued to act like the guard and judge in the shadow, not only in the central world but in the many other worlds created by Veldanava and myself. Over the years, I decided to create my own worlds. Having an unlimited supply of Turn Null made it so I could create them without ever being able to run out. I looked over to Ultima, who was standing beside me. She was massaging her belly. After a couple of thousand years, we decided to finally have a baby. To think I would become a father. I remember my mother's reaction when we told her the news. She instantly took Ultima on a shopping trip to buy clothes and toys for the baby. I looked at the stack of books on my desk. I pushed it back for a while, but it needed to be done one day or another. One stack of books had the name Tensura while the other was solo leveling. It was something I found out after gaining Shinakba Imura. I never transmigrated into a world of a story I read, but into a world I would write stories about. I handed the books to 2 of my generals, and after giving them the orders, I teleported them back to the world where I lived my second life. Author's note. Thank you for reading this chapter. If you enjoy this story, remember to vote and leave a review if you haven't. This is the final chapter of this fan fiction. While writing the story, I noticed some mistakes I made and will try not to make them again in a new one. The first one was that I made Kale too overpowered too quickly. That made it so that he wouldn't have a difficult fight without holding back his power or nerfing him. The other was that he had most of the information about the stories. In the next fan fiction I make, the protagonist will get stronger at a slower pace and probably not know much or anything about the plot of the world with more challenging fights. I will also try learning to write fighting scenes better since the ones in this story weren't so good. The last thing was the daily uploads. When I started the story, I thought about publishing a few chapters a week, with the first week having daily uploads, but somehow ended with daily uploads for the whole story. That made many chapters written quickly so there would be a chapter that day and made the chapter very short. An average of a chapter was 1,000 to 1,100 words. I will make future fanfics longer while having more time to review them and make changes before publishing. When uploading daily, I often thought about changing something entirely after a few days, but it was too late. Well, that's it. A new fan FIC I started working on a few days ago will be up soon. The only thing I will tell about the new fan FIC is that it will include a harem and a few lemons, unlike this one. I will publish it when I have a few chapters ready.